Okay, in the previous video I walked you guys through how to design a simple blog web page. I will grab that now. This is what it looks like. This is the blog page that we designed. If you haven't watched that video, it's a great idea to go back and review that. So, the mission now is to take this and turn it into something that looks the same but is viewable in a browser, so therefore a website. And we're going to do that with the codes, with the HTMLs and the CSSs. So, I am using Visual Studio Code, which is a really good code editor that I recommend you use. It's free. There are other ones out there. Brackets is a really good one. Brackets is cool. It actually lets you, as you edit your website, it will show those changes in real time in a browser, which is pretty cool. So if you want to get brackets, feel free to do that. Okay, so yeah, I'm using Visual Studio Code. What I've done is I've just set myself up a basic project to start working in. I've just got a folder called Web Systems. I've got an index.html file, and I've got a style.css file, which is where I'm going to put my styles. And all I've done, I haven't done anything in this file, all I've done is just a basic HTML scaffold. So I got my HTML tag, got my head tag, I've given my page a title of website blog, I've linked into my CSS file, and that's it, that's all I got. So that we can test this website as we're building it, I'm going to go to the folder that I'm working in, which is located here, Web Systems, and let's open up this index.html page in a browser. Cool, here it is. It works, it's perfect. This is exactly what we should be seeing. It's blank because we don't have anything in our body. Cool, let's move that away. Okay, so let's look at our design and start to think about how we should structure this page. Remember, in HTML, everything is magnetized to the top left-hand corner of the page. So this area right here, this is our 0, 0, which means that when we're coding stuff, we should first code the stuff that's up here and then work our way down. So, first thing that I can see on the page is it's this menu bar, this nav bar. So that's the first thing that we should create. We should have a box for this nav bar, and inside this box we'll have our first link, our second link, our third link. We'll have these links, this list of links. Cool. So let's start with a box or a div for that nav bar. So, div, that was easy. And the way that there's lots of different ways you can do this, but the way that I like to code is I start by getting all of my HTML down. I don't even style it. I just think about the general structure of the page. I get all the HTML on the page. I give everything class names that make sense. And after I've done that, then I worry about the styling. So that's what I'm going to do. I've started by chucking this div down, and I'm going to give it a class of nav. So later, when I'm styling it, I can style it with that class name, and that'll make logical sense. Cool. So I'm going to have my nav. And then I'm going to have these things. And see how we've got this indicator, and on whatever the active page is, we're going to have this line there. Zoom in. So what that means is that for all of these links, the way that this is going to work is we're going to have this icon. Actually, let me think about that differently. So on each page you'll have these links, but this line will be in a different location. So we kind of need to logically hold these two things together in one box. I hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna do another box there, and another box there, another box there, another box there. The divs. So within my nav, I will have 1, 2, 3, 4 divs. I could do it like that, or I could do it. With lists, because when you think about it, this is a list of things. It's not vertical like it normally is. It's horizontal, but it's a list of things. So instead of doing just a bunch of divs, I'm going to use the OL tag, which is an I meant UL for unordered list, because it's just going to be like dot points, right? But what we can actually do is we can remove the dot points and we can put them in a line, and that will make it look like this. You could have just used divs, that would have been fine, but I think it's good to use proper native HTML tags where possible. What am I trying to do? I want to copy? Nope. I want to copy? Nope. Okay. I want to copy. Perfect. Did I have 4 links? Yes. Okay. Cool. So I have got my unordered list, and then in my unordered list I have my 4 list items, and that's going to be, that's one list item, that's another list item, another list item, another list item. Cool. And on each of them I'm going to have some text. So I'm going to write in that text now. So we're going to have home, about us, contact us, and credits. Cool. Now this first link here has this thing, so we need to figure out a way to do that. Now I'll save you some research. In HTML there is no way to specify a vertical line. It's just not a thing. It's very strange that it's not a thing, because there is a way to have a horizontal line. It's called the HR tag, which stands for horizontal rule, but there is no vertical rule for some reason. So we can get around this by doing a div, and what we'll do is we'll just set the width of it, set the height of it, give it a background color, and it will function just like a vertical line. So that means that in my home list item I need to have a little div for that purple thing, this purple thing, before the word. So I'm going to do that. There's my div. It looks a bit weird, but that's why I'm taking you through it, step by step. And I'm going to give that a class of vertical line. Okay, cool. And you know what? I didn't give this a class, so I'm going to give this a class as well. And that class can be navlinks. And then I'll give each one a class of navlink. And they're all going to have the same class. They're all going to have the same class because I'm going to want to give them all the same styles. Cool. Okay. Another thing that I actually forgot is that these things are going to be links, right? So you're going to want to click them and go places. So I'm going to need to make them into proper HTML links, and the way that we do that is with the anchor tag. So I'm going to go a href equals, I'm just going to put a hash in there, and then I'll close that. And I'm going to put that link thing, that closing link tag at the end. So let's analyze this line. I'm saying I'm going to have an unordered list. And then the way that the anchor tag works is it kind of encapsulates whatever, yeah, it's like it's kind of not really there. It just changes the functionality of whatever is inside the anchor tag. So we've still got an unordered list of list items. It's just that we're going to surround those list items by this link tag to turn them into links, basically. So we've got our link. Within our link, we've got our list item. And then within our list item, we have our vertical line div, but only for the home page, right? And then we have our text, which is going to be next to our vertical line, and then we're closing our tags. Cool. So I'm going to copy and paste this to every other line because we want them all to be links. And then I need to close the what's happened there? It's automatically closed that for me. I want that to be on that side. Always gotta keep a really watchful eye for this sort of stuff, because sometimes the autocomplete does not work in the way that you want it to. Okay, cool. Now this all makes sense. Now this is actually getting quite confusing because it's all on one line, right? And there's lots of opening tags and closing tags. So when that happens, keep your code readable by putting them on new lines. Makes it a lot easier. See, now this is so much easier to read now. Now we can see we've got a link, and then in that link we've got our list item, and then we're going to have a little div here. I'm going to keep that on one line just because not all of them are going to have this weirdness to them. But I will put these on different lines. Cool. Alright, so that's our link structure done. We'll save that. What else do we have to do? Okay, now we have to figure out how to make this whole thing work. There's lots of different ways that we could do this, but let's think very carefully about that. Because we want this website to look okay on like different screen sizes. So your initial thought may be to put all this in a box and then set the left margin of that box to like a lot, right? So that the box, because it will start here and your left margin will be set to like that much, and then you'll put a top margin on it for it to go down here, and then woohoo, you've done it. Except this won't work in all scenarios. It'll work in some scenarios, but what if you have a screen that is really, really wide? Well, then this is not going to be kind of centered like that. It might look more like this. We don't quite want that. Or what if you have a screen that is really, really narrow, which is actually a much more likely scenario? What if you've got a phone, right? Then you might have a web page that looks a bit like this, with no text visible. This text is off the page. Well, that's terrible. You can't have that. So, how do we do it? Well, what we can do is we will put this in a box, but let me just move that to the side for a second. We'll put it in a box that is centered in the page, like that. And then we'll let me send that to the back. Send to back. So we've got our box that's centered in the page. And then we'll put our text inside it. And our text will be left aligned to that box. We don't want to make this box visible, but we're just going to use it for positioning. If we center this box and we make it wider than the text, then you see we'll get this effect where the text is left aligned to a centered box that is too wide for the text, if that makes sense. So let's do that. So, if we go back to our text editor, that means that underneath our entire navbar, which if we follow this line down, ends here, we'll need another div. And I'm going to call this main content box. Yeah. Cool. And that's our div. And then what are we going to put inside that div? We're going to need to put this whole thing. We're going to need to put this inside that box. So that'll be another div. Div within a div. I'll make that div have a class of you know what, I might change my naming scheme and make this a child content box, and I'll make this a parent content box. You may think it's not super important to give these things you know, to have like naming schemes, but super important because you're going to look at this project over a long period of time and you don't want to be forgetting things. You need to be, always imagine that you're writing this project for yourself in 6 months' time. And yourself in 6 months' time is not going to remember like why you called that thing, you know, box A, box B, box C. So meaningful names. Super good habit. Very employable. Okay. So we've got our box within a box. And so that box we just put in is this. So next thing is, let's start actually putting in the stuff that is going in that box. So first thing is this heading. Next thing will be a horizontal rule, and then we'll have some paragraphs. So let's start with the heading. On this page, this is the most important heading. We only have one heading. So logically, this will be a H1. Let's make that happen. H1, class, you know what, we don't actually need a class for that one because it's just gonna, we've only got the one H1, so we can just leave that as a H1. And I'm gonna call it, well, I'm gonna put the words in it. My favorite website. Cool. Oh, and then we want our rule, our horizontal rule, which is the HR tag. Cool. And you know what, I am going to give that a class because you never know, we might want to have some more horizontal rules on our website at some point. And I'll call that accent line because it's an accent and it's a line. And then I'm going to do some paragraphs. So, done my paragraph. And I'll come over here and I'll get the text from this first paragraph. Chuck it in there. Woo! That's long. And then I'll... Oh god, what happened? No! Okay, and then I'll do another paragraph. And I'll only do 3 paragraphs because we'll be here all day with me copying stuff. Okay, cool. Paragraph 2. What just happened? That's odd. Okay, and then paragraph 3. Okay, we have 3 paragraphs in. Awesome. And now going back to our design, that is actually all we need for this page. That is our HTML for this page completely finished. Let's see what that looks like. Have I saved that? Yes, I have. Let's see what that looks like in a browser. We refresh the page. That is what, I do not want to translate, that is what our website looks like. It's terrible. In the next video, we will be learning about how to use CSS to style this up so that it looks like this. But we're at a very good starting point. We've got all of our HTML in, we've got meaningful class names, we've got this formatted nicely, and we're completely ready to style it later on.